I enlisted in the Army because they gave me a promise of I could jump out of planes and blow up anything I'd like. I would recommend TMS, especially DeepTMS, to anyone. I believe in this so much, I am now an employee of Katie's Way. Fought against the insurgency in Afghanistan after 9/11. I was blown up my second day in Afghanistan, and then I was shot in the back 4 months later. On my arm, these are my service stripes off my dress blues. These stripes are one for every 3 years of service, so all 21 years of service. Approximately a third of my time in the military, I was in combat. The first time home was the biggest adaptation. You've changed as a person, your family has changed while you're gone. A year has gone by, you don't remember businesses that were open when you left, you come home and they're closed. The way you feel about everything with your day-to-day life, things that were a big deal before no longer seem like a big deal. And your family changes as well. Spouses, children, they're used to living without you now by the time they just spent the last year without you. And they're used to living like that. All of a sudden you come back and you try to pick up where you left off as the head of household, but they're used to doing it all on their own. There's conflict coming home for sure. I know I started drinking excessively, and that picked up. My duty performance, nobody could tell. I could drink 12 to 18 beers and get up and run 6 miles at about a 6.5 minute per mile pace with no issues. So my day-to-day professional life, you couldn't tell, but I wouldn't even set my keys on the counter, and I'd go grab a beer out of the fridge every night when I got home and start immediately as soon as I got home. I did have prescriptions. I was given prescriptions for anxiety, sleep nightmares. A lot of times the medications I felt had side effects. I would wake up with sleeping meds. I'd feel groggier than when I'd drink. So I just went back, I would revert back to the drinking. I was drinking somewhere between about a half gallon to a gallon of hard alcohol a day for roughly 2 to 2.5 years. Around February 1st of 2024, I was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. The fire department found me laying face down in the living room. The doctor said if I was unwilling to change, I should start coming up with a plan and probably say a couple of goodbyes. An old Sergeant Major friend of mine, who's a great man, who had been to Katie's Way and done DeepTMS, and he had talked to me about this crazy idea of a magnet that could fix me. And at this point, I thought I'd tried everything. I've never heard of this magnet. Didn't believe it, but because of the man that he is, it was extraordinary that he could latch on to an idea like that and come to find out he was actually a patient and done it himself. And this magnet could somehow help me. And he said as soon as I get out of the hospital, I should go to Katie's Way and talk to him. And it sounded like the craziest idea I'd ever heard in my life. My 22-year-old son noticed it was working. He noticed the change first. One day, taking my son home, I was cut off on the freeway by somebody else. And instead of following him to a parking lot like I usually would have, my son noticed that I continued driving to his house to drop him off. Didn't get angry, didn't say anything. And he asked me what they were doing to me. And I tried to explain the process. I haven't had an angry outburst since I started TMS in April of 2024. My normal violent behavior towards people that were aggressive towards me wasn't there anymore. When I realized that it was making a difference was about 2.5 months into treatment. I was triggered by something I saw on the TV that reminded me of my deployments. And that's when I started running through all of them in my head in that same session, and there was no more emotional attachment to any of those memories. If anything, I remember them clearer to this day, but no emotion associated with that. It's equal to what I ate for dinner last night. They are all just memory. When I was released from the hospital, I weighed 144 pounds, And I sit here today at 210 pounds and physically fit. I live great. I've been sober now for 20 months. Can't explain that either. How you can go from heavy drinking to none like that, but no cravings. For my message to others, I would tell them not to give up. After multiple counselors, and I think every drug on the market, every prescription I ever tried, I had pretty much given up. But I can tell you, DeepTMS works. I'm walking proof of it.